Hi, welcome back everybody, it's Mike Newton down here at Lytham Golf Academy. It's golf lesson time. We're going to talk about the dreaded over the top action. So most golfers find will tend to swing over the top and have that big uncontrollable slice in their game, or potentially some of those little pull shots. So this video, I'm going to really look at some couple of key elements to help you really overcome that over the top action and get your swing path a little bit more on that inside. So the dreaded over the top action, where does it come from? Let's talk a little bit about that first and get an understanding of how it actually creates that sort of movement that I see many golfers do. So typically what can happen is one big factor is the head position, and it's generally more of that upper body that's opening up and doing a little bit too much to start that downswing. So if you imagine you get to the top of that backswing there, and then it's a little bit too much of that upper body sort of opening up, unraveling. And I think a lot of golfers would always try and think, you know, there's a lot of talk out there about opening the body, opening the hips and everything like that. So that a lot of golfers will do that and think they're doing the right thing, but it's got to get the right part of the body to do that. But if we get the upper body getting a little bit too active and too much opening, it just throws those hands sort of out in front of you, and then you've got to obviously then swing more left. Sometimes what can cause that is a little bit of a head position, and it's good to sort of think about where is that head through that golf swing. So obviously we're referred to with a driver here, but if I get to the top of that swing there and I just get this head that moves too much that way in a bid to maybe transfer body weight as well, that a lot of golfers will want to do, that then throws the club more over. So if I get it from there and I get the head moving that way, you can see the hands just get thrown out, my chest opens up too early, and I've got to then swing more left. So first thing I'm really look at is the head position. So great little drill to do that is if I get an alignment stick here. Okay, so obviously you'd have the ball position, if I grab another ball. So we'd have the ball position inside that left heel, as we should do with that driver, and the position the alignment stick that's actually split centre in my stance. Okay, and this is where I'm going to focus on my head being in a position. So we know with drive we should have that little bit of that sort of spine tilt, maybe sort of 5-10 degrees of that spine tilt sort of away from the target, which just gets us set there, and that really gets us our head over that alignment stick, and that's where I want you to focus, is where this head is. So if we get to the top of that swing and then we move it this way, you can see now my head is pretty much over the top of that golf ball, so I'm not behind it, and then I'm coming a little bit more sort of steeper, and then angle of attack as well as swing path suffers. So if we can get to the top of that backswing there, and then we're going to feel like we keep this head now either on the stick or, if anything, slightly behind the stick. It helps us to control that head position and then enable us to hit a little bit more sort of on the way up and really help that angle of attack and potentially try and shift that swing direction more to the right. So the other big aspect I want you to sort of really think about is the right elbow and that right sort of bicep, and how we position that as we start that actual downswing. So again, thinking about the head position, we're now going to try and stay a little bit more behind it, but if we make that over the top sort of action, we tend to sort of this right elbow, right bicep really sort of separate from the body. So we see that big throw out, a lot of separation, hands go out enough to all that room, but obviously then we've got to pull that club head back across that golf ball. So we're going to try and have a little think about this right elbow, and where does that sort of get positioned as we transition in that downswing. So again, we get to the top of that backswing here, and I want to feel like now this right elbow and that right sort of bicep there just sort of starts to tuck a little bit more into the side of your body. Okay, so if you imagine as you get to the top of that backswing there, you had a tray of drinks in your hand. We're trying to sort of feel all of that position, aren't we? If we get a bit that way, the tray's obviously well over into it. So if we can get to that position, feel that right elbow sort of just tuck a little bit more there with that head position there, we can see we just keep this club a little bit more behind us and not letting it throw out in front of us. So it's up to the top, feel like we just tuck that a little bit more there, and then we can then sort of swing through into that finish. So I'm going to hit 2 shots, show you a little bit of data as maybe what happens to that over the top. A number of things can happen, and then we'll try that drill of that alignment stick and then just trying to work that elbow a little bit more. So first one here, typical one of trying to head position going forward, open up with that body, gives us that over the top action. And that's a low, squirty, horrible sort of slice, basically. Okay, so look at those numbers there. So we can see angle of attack 5.2 down, club path 5.3 out to in, so swinging very much left of target. creates very much a down attack and very little dynamic loft at impact, only 13 degrees delivered. So that gave us a very low launch. You see 1.5 launch because I've not delivered a lot of loft there. I've also hit down, so that's all that combination is really pulling that launch down. And then the side spin you see at 1200 right, so it's just going very low, squirty right is what you saw on the actual ball flight. Okay, so you can see that was a pretty rotten shot there. So I'm just going to make those little adjustments that we just talked about there. So I've got my alignment stick down, which is in the middle of my stance. Ball's obviously in the front section of my stance. So that's going to help me just focus on where that head position is. I want to try and keep that over that stick, or if anything, slightly behind it, which helps me to keep that sort of spine tilt as I come into that impact position and not let my shoulders get sort of too level as they come that way. And then I'm just going to think a little bit about that right elbow, that right bicep. Just going to feel like I just tuck that into my side of my body a little bit more, just as that start, that sort of downswing, and then I can turn through that actual shot. And then again, we'll just sort of see how this just changes those numbers, hopefully. Let's give this one a go. So work on my head position and a little bit of that right elbow. That's a nice shot. Yeah, a little bit off the bottom of this strike. I'm getting very picky, but obviously very, very different strike to what I just saw, and flight to what I just saw in that previous one. Quite straight, neutral, 293 yards. But look, let's look at those numbers. Okay, so we look at those numbers there. You can see a big difference here. So now we've got the angle of attack at 3.6 on the way up. So I think we were sort of 4, 5 down, weren't we? 5 out to win. So you can see we're 3.1 in to out, so good 7 degree shift there. Angle of attack a little bit more on that way up. That helps massive with that head position, just staying more behind, allows me to hit more up on it, as well as changing the swing direction also allows me to hit more up on it, which is good. Loft then is much more, so 16 degree on that loft delivery there, which is much better. And then because of all that, we see that launch angle is up a little bit more, probably a little bit lower than where I'd want it, because I did catch that a little bit low in the club face. But you can see now my side spin, instead of being 1200R, which is right spin slice, it's now 188L. So a subtle little draw on that shot, 265 on the carry distance, and very straight. Okay guys, so there we go. There's 2 really important factors you need to just have a little look at. If you're swinging that club over the top, you've got that slice, you're really struggling with it, then definitely go and check out where that head position is and just have a little bit of a thought of where this elbow gets to. We don't want to get this upper body opening up too much. So do comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Are you a golfer that swings over the top? Do you really struggle with that slice? If you do, try these out and let me know how you get on, and let me know if there's anything else in that you do that sort of helps you to sort of straighten out that slice. Love to hear your thoughts as always. If you haven't subscribed, enjoying the videos I'm putting out there, then please consider doing so. If you are a subscriber, ring that bell, then you get notifications of any future videos. You will not miss a thing. Follow up with the social media platforms, both Instagram and Twitter, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.